This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris, and this is part 2 of key lime cupcakes. In our previous episode, we made the delicate white cake part, but today we're making the unbelievably delicious key lime frosting. And I'm even going to show you a little cake decorating tip on how you can make this beautiful drop star pattern on top. Now, of course, these are called key lime cupcakes, so we have to use key limes. Now, key limes are these tiny little limes like this, and they've got a lot of juice in them. Now, at my store, I can actually buy a little bag of them. But you know, if you can't find key limes where you live, you could certainly use the regular limes that you have in the store. You may need to get a few more of them because sometimes they're not that juicy. But I was able to score some key limes, so let me show you how we go ahead and get this frosting made. First thing we're going to do is take some zest off of these little guys. Now I need 1.5 teaspoons of zest, so I'm going to be using my microplaner. And because these are such a small fruit, do be careful. You don't want to grate over your thumb. Now today, to get 1.5 teaspoons of zest, it took me about 5 of these little key limes. Now we need to get some juice out of these little guys. So I'm going to cut them in half. And over a small bowl, you could use a reamer. This may be a little big. What I'm going to use today is just my fork. And I'm going to press the fork in, and then I'm going to squeeze the lime around it. Now, of the limes that I zested, I only got 2 tablespoons of juice out of it, and I need 3. So I'm going to go ahead and juice up a couple of more limes. But before I juice them, I want to take the zest off of them first. And the reason for that is I want to have a little bit of zest to garnish the top of our cupcakes. Now I've juiced 2 more limes, and that gave me just another tablespoon. So now I have my 3 tablespoons of juice. Now it's time to get our frosting made. I'm going to be using my standing mixer. You could use a hand mixer if you'd like. And I'm going to start by dicing up a 1/2 cup of butter. And I'm going to cut that into some little dice, put that in my bowl, and get that to start creaming. Now once my butter starts to soften, I'm going to add my lime zest, a teaspoon of vanilla, and just a pinch of salt. Then I'm going to whisk these around until that lime zest gets all throughout that butter. Now, once that butter is nice and creamy, it's time to start adding our other ingredients. I have a whole box, which is 16 ounces of powdered sugar. I'm going to put a little bit of that in, put my mixer on a low speed. Then I'm going to add just a dribble of my lime juice. And then I have measured out about 2 tablespoons of milk, and I'm just going to put a drizzle of that in. I'm going to put the rest of the powdered sugar in, the rest of the lime juice. Now, we're going to be actually piping this frosting. So when you're piping frosting, you do want it to be fairly thick, and this is a nice consistency here. So I'm not going to bother adding this last bit of milk. Well, there are a couple of ways you could decorate these cupcakes. You could just take your little offset spatula and take the frosting and spread it right on top. It would be delicious. But I'm going to show you another way that you can decorate using a cake decorating tip. Now this is is a drop star tip. It's a number 35. Now these drop star tips are just a classic cake decorating tip, and if I hold it like this, you can see the light coming through. That's the shape that the frosting will take as I push it through the tip. So let me show you how we can make some real pretty cupcakes with this. Now these days I like to use these disposable cake decorating bags. Now to get ready, we have to snip the tip of our bag off, and then we put our tip right into it. Now you can see the tip should just peek out of the bag. Now I didn't cut quite enough off, so I'm going to just push it back inside and take just a little bit more off the end because I just want it to poke through like that. Now the next thing we want to do is fill our bag with icing. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to make a cuff, almost like a boot. And then I'll take my spatula with some frosting and I'll put it right into the bag. And I'll put the spatula in and then I'm going to kind of grab it with my hand and pull the spatula out. Then I'm going to take that cuff up off the boot, gather the bag in my hand like this. I'm going to give it a little squeeze and I'm going to start turning the bag like this. And as I turn it, the frosting is going to be forced down to the tip. And then as I squeeze it, you can start to see the frosting start to come out the end, just like that. And I'm going to stop. Now, cake decorating is not a hard thing to do at all, but it does help if you have a little bit of practice. Now, when I was learning how to cake decorate, we didn't practice on cakes and cupcakes. What we did is we practiced on wax paper. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of wax paper right on my cutting board. So I put my right hand at the top. I really keep that nice and taut. I want a lot of frosting down here. I don't want it squeezing out the end here. And then I put my hand at the bottom of the bag. Hold it straight up. I'm going to squeeze and push down and then lift up. Squeeze, press down and lift up. Now I've made all these flowers. I feel pretty comfortable that I'm ready to go and pipe on my cupcakes, but I don't want to throw this frosting out. I'm going to take my offset spatula. I'm just going to scrape it up and put it back into my frosting bowl. And I can absolutely frost with this. So that's one of the great things about practicing on wax paper. You can do it as long as you need to and just scrape it off and put it right back in your frosting bowl. So let's get started trying it on a cupcake. So with my right hand, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to pick up the bag, give it a little twist so that the frosting is nice and taut in the bag, and then I'm going to pick up the cupcake with my left hand. Now when you're decorating a cupcake with the drop star like this, I like to start on the outside edge and go right along, almost outlining the cupcake. And you want to make sure that the tip is not touching the cupcake. Let the frosting and the tip do its work. Okay, so that's what it first looks like. Then I'm going to go in and do an inner row. And then as it turns out, I have one little flower that I put right in the center. Now at the beginning, don't feel like you have to go very quickly. I started decorating cupcakes, I think when I was about 12 years old was when I first took a class. So it's been quite a few years that I've been doing it. And it just takes a little bit of practice. And it's kind of like riding a bike. Once you learn how to do it, you never forget. Now, as I was icing this one, I started to feel some air bubbles come through, and I can see that I'm sort of running out of frosting. Don't get to the very end. When it's time, just open up your bag, again, make a little cuff, and then just put some more of your frosting right inside, and then you can keep going. Now, if you find you want to set your cupcake down on your cutting board so you're not holding it in your hand, then this is the position that you would take. I would put my right hand up at the top of the bag, my left hand down here at the bottom, and that works out fine too. Now remember, I wanted to keep a little bit of lime zest out, and this is why. I just want to take a pinch of it, just sprinkle it all over the entire top, just a little bit like this. And it just kind of catches the edges of your frosting. It makes it kind of really pretty and delicate. Now, if you'd like to try these key lime cupcakes at home, just go to our website and go to the Cupcake show notes, and I'll have the recipe there, both for the cake and the frosting. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. I'll see you next time.